We're now going to look at calculating the moment and center of mass of a solid 3D object that has a varying density function. Now the basic idea here is that we're going to consider a small rectangular solid, and the mass of that tiny block is going to be the mass density times the volume of that block. And then we add up infinitely many of those in order to get the total mass. To get the tendency to rotate about the YZ plane, or the moment about the YZ plane, we take into consideration the distance that that block is away from the YZ plane, which is an x coordinate. So the moment is that distance multiplied by the mass of the block. And if this is the mass of the block, and this is the distance, that's what we use to create the integrand, and then we'll add up infinitely many of those moments. To get the tendency to rotate about the XZ plane, we consider the distance that our block is away from that XZ plane, which is a y coordinate. So this moment is that distance multiplied by the mass of the block. And then to get the moment about the XY plane, or the tendency to rotate about that XY plane, we take into consideration a distance, which is a z coordinate, and that moment is going to be calculated by looking at that distance multiplied by the mass of the block. Then in order to get the center of mass, we'll take each of these moments and then divide them through by that total mass to get the x, y, and z ordered triple that'll be the center of mass of the 3D object. So let's look at an example. So we're looking to find the total mass and center of mass of the region bounded by z is equal to 1 minus y squared, x plus z is equal to 1, which is a plane, and then the yz plane and the xy plane given this mass density function. So I'll start by graphing this bit in the YZ plane, which is a parabola opening down, shifted up 1 unit. With the missing x variable, that's then going to be extended in the direction of x to create a parabolic cylinder. When we bring that over into 3D, let's make note of the fact that the YZ plane is a boundary, so is the XY plane, so we'll come down here with this parabola, but stop it at the floor. It is going to extend in the direction of x, but not in the negative x direction because the YZ plane is a boundary. So let's now take a look at this other boundary, the plane x plus z is equal to 1, which is this line in the xz plane that is going to be extended in the direction of y. So we've got the point 1, 0, 0 and the point 0, 0, 1 in 3D, and we actually only get this portion of the line because the YZ plane and the XY plane are boundaries, but we extend in the direction of y because we're missing that y variable, and this plane is going to chop into that parabolic cylinder, which leaves us with this three-dimensional solid. Now we'll begin by calculating the total mass, which is the triple integral of our varying density function over this solid 3D region. Our density function is actually a constant in this case. It could be a varying quantity, but this time it's constant. And then we need to decide if we're going to integrate with respect to x first, with respect to y first, or with respect to z first. So this is where we envision that tiny floating rectangular solid. Let's notice that we do not want to integrate with respect to z first, because we do have the same lower limit throughout the region, but the ceiling function would be that parabolic cylinder if my floating rectangle were toward the back of the solid. But if we're up here in the front, that ceiling function is going to be the plane. So we do not want to go with respect to z first because the ceiling function is different depending on where we're located. And I'm also not excited about going with respect to y first, because if we go with respect to y and we're all the way back toward the YZ plane, I've got the right limit of y being the parabolic cylinder, but the left limit of y is also the same parabolic cylinder. Now in this situation, we actually could go from the right wall, the parabolic cylinder, back to the XZ plane and then double it, but that's only because we have a ceiling function out here that lends itself to symmetry, meaning that the density on the right side of this solid is the same as the density on the left side. If this were a varying density function and not a constant density function, I would not want to be splitting that in half and doubling it, because there's a chance that it would be heavier over here than it would be over there. Again, doubling isn't always something that works. So I prefer to avoid doubling whenever possible. And in this case, it is possible. If I just integrate with respect to x first, the lower limit is going to be the x is equal to 0 back wall, And the upper limit of x is going to be this plane on the front side, and that's going to be consistent no matter where I am in this 3D region. So let's integrate with respect to x first, where the lower limit is going to be 0. This plane equation is x plus z is equal to 1. We'll need to solve that for x in terms of z, and then that will be our upper limit. So since we integrated with respect to x first, we're going to project this solid into the plane of the remaining two variables, which is the yz plane. And remember, that was the parabola in the yz plane opening down. So now we think about a small floating rectangle, and again, we do not want to integrate with respect to y first, because I would have the same lower limit and upper limit. So we'll integrate with respect to z first. So dz is our next iteration. The limit on z is going to go from 0 to the parabola, and the parabola equation was 1 minus y squared. And then finally we float our band far right and far left here. When we are at the leftmost extreme, the value of y is going to be -1, and at the rightmost extreme, the value of y is +1, so those are our y limits. Now the good news is here, once I've established my order of integration and my limits of integration, these can be copy-pasted to all of the triple integrals that we need to calculate for this problem. We'll be using the same domain region to calculate the triple integrals that give us the moments about the coordinate planes. So we've got a lot of integrating to do here, not just for this total mass, but also to calculate all those moments. So I'll likely be skipping some steps here. So our first iteration has an antiderivative of 4x, and then we plug those limits into the x variable, and then that becomes the integrand for the second iteration, now integrating with respect to z. And we get this antiderivative, and we plug in our upper limit. Plugging in the lower limit of 0 means that we're just going to be subtracting 0. And when we simplify, we get -2y to the 4th plus 2, which becomes our integrand for the third iteration, which is evaluated with respect to y from -1 to 1. And then we take our antiderivative and plug in the upper limit of +1 minus the antiderivative evaluated with -1 plugged in for y, which simplifies down to being 16/5. So let's pop that back up here because we're going to need that in a moment to calculate the center of mass. Now we're going to look at the moment about the xy plane, which is going to take into consideration a distance away from the xy plane, which is a z coordinate. And then we are going to multiply that by the varying density function. In our case, it's a constant, but it could be a varying function. And thankfully, we get to use the same order of integration and limits of integration that we've already established. Now, because this integration is not complicated, let's just go ahead and say that this turns out to be 32/35. The moment about the xz plane, again, takes into consideration a distance away from the xz plane, which is a y coordinate. That then is going to be multiplied by the varying density function. We use the same order of integration and limits of integration. And when this is evaluated, it turns out to be 0. Which basically means that we have balance in that direction. If we come back up to our drawing, we can see that that makes sense because our density function is a constant and our solid is symmetrical in this direction. So the mass over on this part is the same as the mass over on that part, and our solid is balanced and does not have a tendency to rotate about the xz plane. In order to get the moment about the yz plane, we'll take into consideration a distance away from the yz plane, which is an x-coordinate, times the density function, the same order of integration and limits of integration, and this moment turns out to be the quantity 8/7. And now we're ready to take all these calculations and declare the center of mass, which is going to be an xyz ordered triple. The x-coordinate of the center of mass is going to be determined by the tendency to rotate about the yz plane divided by the total mass. The y-coordinate of the center of mass is going to be calculated by the tendency to rotate about the xz plane divided by the total mass. And the z-coordinate of the center of mass is going to be measured by the tendency to rotate about the xy plane divided by the total mass. The moment about the yz plane was 8/7. The total mass was 16/5, so our x-coordinate turns out to be 5/14. The tendency to rotate about the xz plane was 0, so the y-coordinate of our center of mass is going to be 0. The tendency to rotate about the xy plane was 32/35, And so the z-coordinate of our center of mass turns out to be 2/7. And so the center of mass ordered triple is 5/14, 0, and 2/7.